And who am I? That's not a secret I'll never tell. You know you love me. XOXO. Gossip Girl.
What's up? We got Gossip Girl, Season 4, Episode 6, Easy J. This episode starts off with Blair as a character in the movie Wait Till Dark, where she's a blind woman who's alone in her closet. She hears someone outside and heads to investigate. She calls out and then she knows it's Chuck. Then she's tackled by the attacker. She screams for help and reaches at their head, and a tuft of blonde hair is shown, and she grabs the jewel-encrusted headband she gave Jenny when she declared her queen, and suddenly wakes up, and it's revealed that, that was all a dream. She wakes up, and Serena wakes up in Cab Guy Collins' bed, and leaves before he wakes up. She goes home and answers a question about where she's been, including that they didn't sleep together. They just talked. Blair confesses that she had another Chuck nightmare, but wasn't sure if she was if the person she was attacked by Chuck in it. She was attacked by Chuck in it. She realized what it could be and tells Serena that she'll meet her at school later. At the loft, Dan gets a call from Nate, who's headed to visit his dad. Nate confesses that morning after they slept together, Juliet bolted, claiming not want to miss class. Nate tells him not to read too much into it, and Nate hangs up and arrives at the prison. Upon reaching it, he notices, Juliet's there, and he doesn't know why. At Columbia, Serena meets up with Chuck, who is interested in meeting the new psychology professor. He is inside the building, and Serena is about to, when she notices Colin, and they both realize that the guy that she was in bed with is her teacher, is her professor. Serena and teachers, weird. As he's teaching a course. Meanwhile, Blair randomly goes to the Vanderwoodsons only to find Jenny there, which, despite being banished. Why did Blair go there? I don't know why. Don't know why Blair's at the Vanderwoodsons. Why is she not in class? Basically, Jenny explains to Blair the reason she only came back is to meet with Tim Gunn, who, remember that thing that I talked about Tim Gunn basically saying that he didn't like Jenny's actress and said, why were they being held hostage by this brat? That Tim Gunn. The one who basically dissed Jenny's actress. We'll get into more of why he said that, why he was dissing Jenny's actress. But she's come back to meet with Tim Gunn. And if it goes well, he'll write a recommendation for Parson. Burke offers to call her a cab to take her back to Hudson, but Jenny offers to propose to Blair to grant her a day pass. She can stay until right after her interview, and once she leaves, she won't come back to the city for the rest of the year. At the prison, Nate tells Juliet about his father's crimes and asks her if her brother is in there also. She lies, saying that she's a volunteer at the prison literacy program, and he offers her to stop by her class later. She claims to have gotten a text saying her student was canceled, so they can make plans to meet back up in the city, and she leaves. At Columbia, Blair has finally decided to come to class, and Blair meets and Serena meet up, and she explains that Colin is your teacher now. Blair advises her to tell him that they no longer have a relationship outside the classroom, and Serena sadly agrees to tell him that, then walks away. Blair then spots Chuck and tells him that Jenny is back, and he says how she must have a lot of nerve. Then, of course, we all know that Chuck is behind this. He was the one that called the guy to allow Tim Gunn to meet Jenny. So him saying Jenny has a lot of nerve coming back here. It's like, bro, we know you called her. We know you're the reason why Jenny is back in town, bro. You only did it so you could continue your war with Blair. Yeah. Then leaves, calling Arthur to have his car brought around to the stop he requested. Meanwhile, Blair orders her Colombian minions to stake out the Vanderwoodson building and make sure Jenny doesn't leave. Yeah, first Chuck, now she's obsessed with Jenny. Blair has a lot of obsessions in this show. After Vanderwoodson's, Jenny, Dan, Eric, Lily, and Rufus finish breakfast. Lily's impressed with Jenny's book of design. Once they're alone, Jenny explains the day past to Dan and Eric. When she does, Chuck arrives and Dan goes to get rid of him. Chuck tells him that he wants to apologize to Jenny, but Dan doesn't let him, and tries again to be there for some, and tries again saying that he's there for a bad, interesting blueprint, and also grabs Jenny's book of designs with them. At Columbia, Serena catches up with Colin, and after talking, agrees to drop his course so they can build a relationship. He invites her on to be his date at the New York Observer party, while he'll be receiving an award for the most eligible bachelor. She agrees to accompany him. At the Vanderwoods, Jenny is overseeing her dresses being sent by Tim Gunn. When she gets a call from Chuck, who is at home and is broke, he informs her that when he picked up his blueprint, he accidentally grabbed her portfolio. Yeah, quote unquote accidentally, because he actually meant to grab her portfolio on purpose. She tells him to bring it back, but he lies, saying he's headed into a meeting, but he'll be back with his he'll be with his concierge. Frustrated, again gets a cab and heads over to the hotel. Unbeknownst to her, she's followed by Penelope, Jessica, and Zoe, who call Blair about the location as soon as she reaches the Empire. Of course, this is all part of Chuck's plan, because, he called Jenny back to mess with Blair, and he stole her portfolio, knowing that Blair would have her minions follow Jenny. Of course, Blair is angry at this. Blair makes a call to Tim Gunn's studio. At the studio, Jenny meets with Dan outside, where he's waiting with an assistant. The assistant tells Jenny that Tim is very strict schedule and that the models are ready. Dan wishes her good luck, and Jenny goes inside. At her appointment, Juliet gets a call from Ben. She tells him about Howard being in the same prison, and Nate is different than anyone else on the Upper East Side. Ben agrees to back off from him and hangs up. But that doesn't mean he can't back off from Nate's dad, just because he agreed to back off from Nate doesn't mean that he won't try to go after his father, because he tells two guys to introduce him to Howard. At the Vanderwoodsons, Serena visits Lily to pour some Julia for the party. Lily notices she's reading Colin's book and winner and tells Serena that she's proud of her for taking such a challenging class and is glad she's focused on her future and not boys. Yeah, she's literally focused on boys because that guy's her professor. That author is her professor, Lily, and her boyfriend, I guess. At Tim Gunn's studio, he tells Jenny that basically she held them hostage. I mean, no, he told her that her resume is impressive and that she asked about her leaving Waldorf Designs to start her own line. She admits that was a mistake and had to leave town due to conflict with a different Waldorf. And her dresses influence style conflicts with her self-look. Her dress influence self and conflict and self-look. Tim Gunn brings the models in and they file in line. But when they reach the stage, they turn around to reveal a letter with the word spelling whore. Basically calling Jenny a whore. I don't want to say that word, it's so gross, but it's in the thing. The episode said it. Tim Gunn is offended and finishes an interview. The assistant escorts Jenny out. Outside, Blair arrives and Dan tells her that Jenny's inside. Blair replies that she is there she's there for the after party. Jenny comes out in tears, angry at Blair, who remains, of course, cool because Blair is evil. She tells Jenny that she broke their agreement and hands her a ticket back to Hudson. Dan then gets a call from Chuck, who saw what happened on Gossip Girl. He tells Dan that Tim Gunn will be attending the New York Observer party that evening so he can get them tickets. So Jenny might be able to plead her case. Jenny agrees to go, and Chuck promises to get tickets for the whole family because he's really trying to stick it to Blair. But Blair doesn't know that Chuck... At the party, Colin and Serena ride together. She says they walk inseparably and not wanting Lily to think she's choosing men over her future. Upstairs, Serena spots Lily and asks what she's doing there. She explains Dan and Jenny wanted to come, so they all did. Serena recognizes Colin from his Oscar photo, and Serena tries to tell her about their relationship, but before she can, Colin comes over and kisses her. She introduces himself to Lily, who tells him she's Serena's mom. And at the Waldorf, Blair gets a call from Penelope, who tells her that Jenny is at the party to see Tim Gunn. Blair realizes that Jenny's trying to get 11th hour appeal and gets ready to go over because Blair has an obsession. At the party, she's trying to let Jenny go. Like, bro, Blair, you don't have to be obsessed over Jenny Humphrey of all people. Clearly, Blair, for some reason, is so obsessed with getting Jenny out of town, not realizing that this is all Chuck's doing in getting back at Blair. So, yeah. At the party, Jenny's able to get Tim Gunn on for a moment and explain what happened. After hearing what happened, he agrees to grant her another interview and mentions that Chuck called to get her into the interview. At the Empire, Nate calls the prison wondering if Julia's brother isn't there. Of course, he finds out he isn't. When she arrives, he missed her what he did, and she tells him it's okay and come over to tell him some things about herself and her family. Before she can, Nate gets a call from the prison and tells him that his father was attacked. I wonder by who? Not Julia's brother Ben, who is in the same prison and ordered those guys to jump Howard. It couldn't have been him. He leaves right away to see him, and Julia sees a text from Ben saying if she got his message. Back at the party, yeah, literally being like, yeah, stay away from Nate or his father gets it. I guess that's what he's trying to say, like, if she got his message. I guess that's what it means. Back at the party, Blair's Columbia minions confront Jenny and reveal to her that Blair had her followed all day. They don't understand why Blair hates Jenny so much. Jenny realizes they don't know why Blair had her banished and decides to take action. Blair then arrives and runs into Chuck. After a brief exchange, she realizes that he brought Jenny back to town. And of course, he doesn't deny it, saying that bringing Jenny back to town was a way to rile Blair up. And he didn't have to do anything. Blair just had to rile her, just had to get angry. He did not do anything. Blair just riled herself up all herself, and he just had to watch back and see it happen. Blair tells him they went too far, and it puts both their reputations at risk. Chuck replies saying that Jenny still cares about what people think and won't talk. At that moment, everyone reads the gossip girl revealing that Jenny lost her virginity to Chuck. Even though didn't she lose it to Damien? Or I'm confused now. I thought she lost it to Damien back, or I guess she lost it to Chuck because Damien realized that she was still a virgin and abandoned her. I'm confused. After the blast, he talks to Jay and he tells her that maybe Blair was right in banishing her, especially as seeing what she did after just a day back. Meanwhile, Serena tries to explain to Lily about Colin, and Lily's of course cool about it, and says that he understands the allure of powerful men. She tells her that class isn't exactly her level anyway, and says that she probably would have dropped out easier classes anyway. Elaborating this, she also adds that she could marry a powerful man without education, so there's no point anyway. Offended, Serena walks away. Like, Lily, why'd you say that? You literally said that Serena, you literally roasted your own daughter. Literally, Rufus tells her that she may have been too tough. But Lily reveals that, yeah, she bought Colin's book and decided to try reverse psychology on Serena. Saying that, yeah, she's actually not happy about it and said that, yeah, she pretended to be cool about it to put reverse psychology on Serena. A method that he covered in the book. At the prison, Howard tells Nate that he was attacked in the library, but he'll be fine. He asks if he told Anne. Nate says he did, and Howard admits that he made mistakes in their marriage, and one day he'll show her how much he's changed. At the party, Colin gives his acceptance speech where he directs at Serena. She whispers to Lily that they should go and the family leave. Outside the party, Blair and Chuck argue before being confronted by Jenny. She informs them that, yeah, she's done forever. Now that they're enemies again, they'll both be destroyed soon enough. And finally, she says, and wishes them luck before leaving. Back at Columbia, Serena goes to see Colin. He tells her that she convinced him to focus more on teaching than philandering. And since there are only several weeks left in the class, maybe they can get to know each other more platonically. She agrees to this plan. At the Vanderwoods, Dan talks to walks Jenny out of the building. Of course, this isn't the last time we'll see Jenny this season, as she continues to be a major character until the 10th episode, but still. He walks her out of the building and he tells her that he's proud of her and she thanks him. She leaves him thanking him for being a good brother. At the Waldorf, Chuck goes to see Blair. They realize that what happened that night was fate and that it was no one's fault. They agree to make a truce and not fight anymore. At the Empire, Nate calls Juliet. She breaks up with him, but doesn't give him a reason why. But hangs up, and it's revealed she's waiting for Colin in his apartment, and he writes her a check she was waiting for, and they toast to patience. End of the episode. So yeah, Jenny was back for an episode, and she realized that. So Jenny was back for an episode, and she realized that, yeah, basically, literally, she basically became worse. She basically left, came back, and did nefarious things. So, yeah. So Chuck and Blair have decided to stop fighting. Juliet broke up with Nate, and Colin is giving the check she wanted. Serena and Colin have decided to basically be more platonic. Lily did reverse psychology on her own daughter and on Serena, and Eric wasn't. And Eric had one scene, I think. But still, yeah. That was a good episode. I know we'll get more of Jenny this season, because we'll get more of guest starring Jenny, but still, this was a good episode, and I'm glad they kind of took a break before bringing her back, because they were kind of like, yeah, after last season, her being banished, we kind of didn't need it. We kind of needed a break from her. But now she's back for the remaining 10 episodes. She's back for some episodes this season before an episode 10, where she's finally gone from the show for good. But still, yeah. Except for being mentioned. Literally, Jenny leaves the show, and then basically she's mentioned through the rest of seasons 4 and 5 and 6 until she makes a one final cameo unmuted. So yeah, now I'm going to talk about, what Tim Gunn said about Taylor Momsen, who plays Jenny. He basically said that, Jenny the actress would always forget her line, and he would always say that, and he always said that, he felt like they were being held hostage by her. He'd always think to himself, why are we being held hostage by this brat? He literally called Jenny's actress a brat, and that is crazy that Tim Gunn called Taylor Momsen a brat. And this episode was supposed to be this big deal about how Tim Gunn was there, and Tim Gunn this, and Tim Gunn that. But Tim Gunn, I think he's related to James Gunn. James Gunn is great. But Tim, he only had one, he never comes back after this, so how am I supposed to rate him as an actor and as a character if he kind of just was there? He kind of had no plot. Tim Gunn had no plot. What is up with Tim Gunn? He had no plot. Tim Gunn had no plot. But anyway, that's it for this video, and I'll see you next time for season 4, episode 7, War at the Roses. Eric and Dan decide to come up with a revenge plot against Blair and Chuck for forcing Jenny to leave town. And even though Chuck was the reason she came back to town, but yeah, they decide to plot against them. So yeah, and what's gonna happen now that? And what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen with Juliet and her plan to take down Serena, while also still being close to Serena, but also taking her down. But yeah, find out next time, and remember, you know you love me. XOXO, Gossip Girl.